president that asked him to be building houses for judges and giving judges cars. Was he not building houses for judges when he was governor in Rivers State? Was it Bola Ahmed Tinubu that told him to build houses and be buying cars for judges when he was in Rivers State? All this land grabbing that he's doing, the people that are doing deals with him, he will still expose all of them. All the land grabbing. He already said, he's allegedly saying that it is Tinubu that is telling him to grab people's land in the FCT. That it is Tinubu's wife that is telling him to grab people. He's telling people already, go to the FCT and the FCTA. He has turned the place to Obi Akpo. All Rivers people, he made them to imagine. He's a maximum ruler. Bullies people, just a bloody bully and a coward. Bullies people in the FCT, insults people anyhow, talk to people anyhow. Same weekend was talking in this interview that Bala Mohammed, he said that Bala Mohammed should never have been the chairman of PDP Governors Forum. That in PDP that they do it based on rotation, north south. Okay, after Mimiko was PDP Governors Forum chairman, the next chairman was Fayoshe, his friend. It is always the most senior person, the most senior governor, the most senior ranking governor that becomes the governor forum chairman. Do you understand? So when his friend Fayoshe took over after Mimiko, he did not see anything wrong in it. But now he sees something wrong in it. Same Wike is insulting the revered Professor Chidi Odekalu, who has been critical of him trying to compromise our judiciary, saying that Wike calls some people, he said they are Arise lawyers. Look at Wike, that has never worked anywhere in his... Let Wike bring his CV. Let Wike bring his CV. Let me bring my CV. Where has Wike ever went to 5 has he ever done in his life? Whose salary has he ever paid? Do you know how many people's salary we pay? We've been paying in the last couple of years, even before we joined the legal profession as traders. We are accountable people. We are tax-paying people. So it does not make any sense whatsoever. Imagine Wike threatening a director in FCDA to resign just because of selfish interest. If he wants to do anything in your department and you don't agree, he will bully you. He will force you to resign, or he will make your directorate redundant. And the people are scared of him. They cannot speak. And this is why, whether in my personal business and the place.
That is who Wike is. If he can't have his way, he will blackmail you, he will bully you, and he will, it's everywhere. That is why when Fubara caught him to size, he couldn't believe it. He still probably doesn't believe it that this is happening to him. He probably would have died if Tinubu failed to honor that agreement of giving him ministerial appointments and ensuring that the FCC will not go after him for looting over 1.4 trillion naira from Rivers State when he was governor. Yeah, he believes that, a settlement be settlement. Agreement is agreement. Settlement is settlement. If I build you a house, all the cases that we have in the Nigeria Court of Appeal, the Nigerian Supreme Court, all the cases will go in our favor. That's how he rules. That's how he operates. And it is true. They say if you go to the FCDA right now, those who can't take it too much now, they resign. Those ones who fail to resign, is already forcing them out. Because he's accusing them of trying to defend their actions. You're like a part of a ministry when some ministers were there. And everything you signed, originals, everything, when the Wike came and is saying that, no, they are illegal. They are fake. And then these people are like, but these things carry the signature of these people and people, they said, no, those people, they shouldn't have signed it. So that is between Deji and Wike. all of this simply because Wike is stealing people's lands in Abuja, is doing it brazenly, is doing it. The impunity is completely out of this world. Or people are reminding him that FCT is not River State. Too. Last, now you there go sacrifice. So whatever it is that you have with Tifnumbu, last, now you there go sacrifice. So when the push come to shove, now you, Bob, he doesn't care. No, he doesn't. So he's already dropping names. And this is not the first time I'm hearing that whatever he does, I've said that here on this platform as well, he was given a blank check up to do whatever he can do. But at the same time, that blank check be like a rope to hang himself later. Because last, everything he believes that he's going to do and get away with, right? When the whole castle are bust, Tifnumbu will probably push him under the bus. It will be done. And the jail that he ran away from in River State, is likely going to kind of win that easily. Wike never worked in his life, ever. Truly, he's a political thug. And there are many like him in River State. Have you not seen those who are following him in River State? Grown-up men, who are singing, Fubara must obey Wike, obey. Fubara must obey Wike, obey. Grown-up men, people's parents, people's husbands, people's wives, grown-up adults, causing nuisance because of political office. Local government chairmen causing nuisance because they have no other means of survival, politics. And when they realize that they are being replaced, they are being changed, they decided to burn down River State. Grown-up men. That's who he is too. He is just a lucky one among them that became a minister. He became chief of staff, became a minister, became a governor, then he's now a minister. So if you take all these things away, he never worked in his life. There are many like him. Those ones who actually bought the certificates, they tell you they are lawyers, they are doctors, but they cannot practice those profession. The only job they have is politics. When you check their CV, politics. Anything outside politics, they will become useless, never useful. And in that one, Deji has an argument. Because Deji used to be a businessman. Then he became a cash TVist. And right before our very eyes, Deji went back to school. He studied law. He was called to bar. Deji has been defending cases in court. So if tomorrow Deji becomes one of them, their politicians, he can show to us, say, he don't fight for people before. He don't stand in front of judges to defend a case or defend somebody before. We cannot get that record. Politics, just politics. Even Tifnumbu that didn't go to school, claimed that he worked there for Deloitte, what have you, even though Deloitte said they didn't know him. But there's a record of him that he worked there for Mobile. Abi? So Tifnumbu can say, okay, I have salary. In this is a drug dealing case in America, right? He's got a salary account where they were paying him $1,200 a month as a mobile worker, mobile staff in America. Where Wike no get any pay slip to show that he's worked anywhere before except politics. And that is why today he believes that whatever money cannot do, more money will do it, like Tifnumbu. Let's leave that and go on to the next one. You know that your inflation has now jumped up again. I don't believe in the number or the figure they are rolling out. Sure, you get now. Because of this inflation, they call it inflation, I call it hyperinflation. Because before these guys, inflation was somewhere around 22%. And a bag of rice was 30,000 naira, 30,000 naira. Today, they are claiming that inflation is 33.8%. A bag of rice is like over 120,000 naira. Which kind of inflation is that? Nigeria naira has been devalued by over 200%, so to say. What kind of inflation is? That's not inflation, that's hyperinflation. But here is this same illegitimate regime led by competent crook, incompetent lackeys working for Tinubu. Wale Idun, who is your Minister of Finance, was talking about the approval of them spending or proposing to spend 48 trillion naira in 2025. In 2024, they claimed that they were looking to generate, listen to this one, they claimed that they were looking to generate 9 something trillion. Last, they were only able to generate half of that. Even though on the other hand, they said they wanted to generate 18 trillion, that they were going to borrow 9 something trillion. Now, in this 2024, with their own record, they said they have been able to generate half of that. So you plan to generate income, tax, crude oil sale, all of that. You plan to generate 18 trillion. And you wrote a budget of 27 or 28 trillion. So you said we generate 18 trillion and we are going to borrow 9 trillion or something. So 9 something trillion they said they will borrow. They've borrowed over that. They have borrowed 38 trillion naira. In a space of 1 year, 38 trillion. Now, from what they claimed that they wanted to generate, 18 trillion, from their own record, they've only been able to generate half of that, maybe 9 trillion. Now, this is 2024. In 2025 proposal, they are planning to generate 20 trillion or something. Well, listen to Wale Idun. I'll come back to it.
As we've just heard, the Federal Executive Council meeting, and I had the honor and privilege to present 2 memoranda to the Federal Executive Council. And the first one was to complete the borrowing program of the federal government in terms of the external borrowing, with the approval of a US dollars 2.2 billion financing program made up of access to the international capital market for some combination of a Euro bond offer and a Sukuk bond offer. Perhaps a Euro bond of about $1.7 billion and Sukuk financing of another $500 million. The actual makeup of the financing, which will be done as soon as the National Assembly has considered and seen fit to hopefully approve of the borrowing plan, and the external borrowing approval is given, it will be done this year as soon as possible after approval. And the actual combination of instruments that will be raised will depend on what the advisors, the transaction advisors, the financial advisors, what they say about market conditions at the time at which we decide we want to enter the market. Of course, earlier in the year, we had shown the resilience of the Nigerian financial markets and their depth, their capacity, their increased complexity and sophistication by having a domestic issuance of dollar bonds which attracted Nigerians, investors from far and wide, as well as others. And the important point about it is that it used the Nigerian financial system, the Nigerian regulatory system, and Nigerian financial expertise and structures. And it was, apart from any other thing, it was a vote of confidence in the economic reform program of Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Likewise, this being able to access the international capital market is also a sign of the acceptance and the support for the macroeconomic program of Mr. President and indeed his entire administration. As we know, that economic program, that economic recovery and revival program to turn around the economy is focused on macroeconomic, the macroeconomic pillars of market pricing of PMS and market pricing of foreign exchange. Those key, those key pricings and those key situations have been achieved, particularly as of October 2, when we had once again in Nigeria local refining of petroleum products. That paved the way for the completion of the what was started in May 29, 2023, which was to correct the macroeconomic imbalances that were in the economy. So it is on the basis and the strength of the progress to date that we do have a window to access the international capital market for up to $2.2 billion in financing that is part of the Nigerian 2024 Appropriation Act as amended. Thank you.
I think you could have taken the housing together. So that.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Honorable Minister. The second memo that I presented to Council was for a approval for a Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund. That fund is the basis for the revival and the return of long-term mortgage financing to the Nigerian economy. The Murphy Real Estate Investment Fund is going to be, in first instance, a 250 billion naira fund that will provide low-cost, long-term mortgages to Nigerians that want to acquire houses.
Oh, God damn it, man. You need the brain like that of the RCCG followers, the Redeemed Church members, for you to actually be able to, take in what this mofo is saying. They are going to borrow $2.2 billion. Out of that, they've already gotten $500 million from a bond that they call Sukuk bond. And government bond is just like I've told you before, a quicker cash. They've probably taken it and it's gone. They will need to pay that one back by next year. It's just for a year. All right? And the money is already gone. So they're expecting under $1.7 billion from the World Bank, which is expected before the year runs out. So it will now be like $2.2 billion before the end of the year. If I start asking you, did you understand what he's saying? You probably will tell me that, no, not really. So these are the guys that are planning what you call the economic recovery for Nigeria. They're thanking you more, but I want to kind of add this, okay, before I have my own other voice. Somebody can say something to you about where the direction you are really going with these rogues.
For me, what is important is that if you cannot fund your budget You cannot budget for what you cannot finance. And I think if you continue to do that, you're just going to continue to carry over deficits. Because it is clear now from the numbers we're seeing that a lot of this budget could not have been 100% implemented because they couldn't raise the financing even to do the deficit financing. But the danger we're facing is the fact that if you take a look at all these expenditures and programs, there's supposed to be a goal. So why do you do a budget that you cannot finance or you do not have the revenues? So what are the revenue numbers? You know, what are the revenues number? The revenues for 2024 was projected at about 17 trillion. Okay, you do a budget of 17 trillion and you're constantly doing 50%. So your revenues will be 50% and your budget will be twice that. Okay, so basically you are always looking at financing half of your budget. This is not sustainable. So, but even then, where is the impact? Okay, because the questions you're going to ask now, we're going to start asking from the central bank, is going to be very simple. The central bank has done close to a 900 basis point increase in interest rates in MPR since the beginning of this year, February, in an effort to control inflation. Okay, so it's going to be a year in February. And what you find out is the fact that instead of inflation coming down, we find out that inflation trajectory is on the way up. So the central bank has gone through significant tightening. It has done about 7 trillion in open market operations in the last 9 months. CRR has been increased to 50%. So basically, you're squeezing the economy. And the government expenditure, the money supply has hit a record high of 100 trillion. And you are not seeing any results in decline in inflation. When we saw the decline in inflation in trajectory, all of a sudden, that is why I said this fuel price situation is back up. So all of a sudden, you now come back with another pricing on the fuel. Then, of course, inflation comes back. So it's a zero-sum game. So if you do not sort out these issues with Dangote and the IPAMs and the Chapmans and all those marketing agencies, you know, you need to have some sort of resolution. Petroleum pricing is based on Platts prices on an international markets. You can go on the internet and you will see the price of PMS on international Platts prices. So it's that benchmark we all need to adopt. And depending on the direction of oil prices, then, you know, pump prices will adjust accordingly. So we do have significant challenges that we need to address because right now, the reform process is in a fatigue and
So in a nutshell, right, these guys, they are like, dreamers who believes that their dreams is not dream, it's actually reality. So you are writing budget while you are suffering finance deficits, income shortages, or you are still kind of feeling like you could write all these big figures to fund your own lifestyles, presented as if to say it is for the country. But you have no means of actually raising even half of what you intend to spend. But somehow you shall feel like the money will come, even if you have to borrow 80% of it. And then you are projecting on that, which is exactly what these guys are doing. The first one they wrote, which you can probably it's not excusable, but you can forgive them and say maybe it's their first one. If they were being honest, the 2024 budget. At least you will sit back and check, how did that perform? What was the plan? What was the budget or the proposal? And how far did we go with that? So if we are going to possibly write another one, have we learned something from this one? But because there's something called fiscal irresponsibility, normally it's called fiscal responsibility, which means they have to be responsible for their own financial commitments or what have you, projection, whatever. But this time around, it's called the fiscal irresponsibility. It is Nigeria we can continue to see if we can print more money, or if we can borrow more money, and we can, expend the whole thing, and yeah, let the people suffer for it, kind of. But they don't even have legit 20 trillion as income that is coming. No legit money is coming, but they are positive, right? That whatever it is, they can always find the money, and they have a way. They believe they have a way of squeezing out the money. They have taxed you. See this outgoing here.